Hello and welcome to the luxurious confines of the Ford F-150 Platinum. Not only that, this is the Platinum Plus, and at $113,000, it is the most luxurious and expensive F-150 you can buy, kind of. This starts at just around $100,000, when it's just actually a hair below what it costs to buy a Ford F-150 Raptor. Of course, that's a performance version with lots of go fast goodies, big suspension, big wheels and tires, very different use case. This one is all about comfort. It's also an F-150 hybrid, which they call Power Boost, because why not? I actually did truck things with this truck this week, and I have a tow test kind of in the middle of this review. So, it's an F-150 hybrid. This is the same powertrain that came out in, I think, 2021, which means you have a 3.5 liter Ford EcoBoost twin-turbo V6, a 10-speed automatic, and between the two of those, an electric motor. It's not a plug-in hybrid, and it's not the Lightning, which is an EV. So, you know, you get a little extra power, you get 30 extra horsepower, 70 extra pound-feet of torque for a total of 430 horsepower and 570 pound-feet of torque, which is a lot. But you also are supposed to get an increase in fuel economy. With that in mind, I booked this truck because I had to drive an hour and a half out of town to go collect a car, put a trailer on this truck, tow that car 2 hours home, and I was curious what kind of fuel economy I was going to get on the test. So stay tuned in the review to find out those numbers and some factors that influenced them. But we're talking about the truck right now. So this is the F-150 Platinum, which is the modern luxury version of the F-150. They also sell like a cowboy luxury version if you want to get the King Ranch. On top of that, this has the Platinum Plus package that gets you these blingin' 22-inch wheels, the platinum script on the grille, these diamond quilted seats, diamond quilted floor mats too, except it's rubber right now because it's winter. They would get ruined. And this bronzy paint color is also a Platinum Plus exclusive, as is this smoked truffle colored interior. Their words, not mine. It's got a lot of luxury things in it, like it will, the Pro Trailer Assist will like back up a trailer for you. It has this like multi-opening rear tailgates. It has deployable running boards when you open the doors. There's a lot of gadgets here, and frankly, it's not my speed. I like my trucks simple, but in the interest of testing, we're gonna talk about this truck. So why don't I turn it on? It beeps at me constantly because it has snow on the parking sensors. Put my phone in the wireless charging, and let's go for a drive. All right. So, F-150 hybrid. This is, of course, in the spec that most people will buy this, which is the Super Crew, big 4-door version, and a relatively small 5.5-foot bed. That's just what people buy these days. I don't even complain about it anymore. This luxed out truck is actually kind of surprising to me, and you'll see what I see right here, which is that the ride, wait for it, isn't very comfortable considering the price tag. And I get that, you know, it tows 12,000 pounds and it's actually a pickup truck, but we expect a lot from pickup trucks these days. And when you compare it to the coil-sprung Ram options, this is not really acceptable. As is also common in a half-ton pickup truck, it's a 4x4. They almost all are. This is electrically selectable one on the dashboard, and you just click a button and it goes from 2 high to 4 high, and now they have a 4 automatic, which is kind of helpful in this snowy weather. It's still not, I don't think, a great practice to drive around with 4-wheel drive on dry pavement. This truck also has a locking rear differential, which can be locked and unlocked, and you also only want to use that on inclement surfaces. So like I was saying, the ride is, it's not bad, but the Rams in segment I think are the best. And even though this one is optioned up with all the luxury options, it does have one luxury option working against it, which are those sweet 22-inch chrome wheels. I don't personally like how they look. Many people do. It's a style choice, but you know, having huge chrome wheels and thinner sidewalls definitely influences the ride quality of the pickup truck. Especially because the last pickup truck I reviewed was the Cybertruck. Check out that review on Driving.ca, and that was the best riding pickup truck I've ever driven. So, inside it is honestly really, really nicely trimmed. It's got to be tough for Ford because they have to make like really basement grade work trucks on the same platform as they sell this $100,000 pickup, and they've actually done it. It feels really nice in here. I like all the soft touch leather. I like the faux wood. The colors and tones in here are actually like really, really nice. It feels premium. It is a very nice place to sit. I even like the design of these diamond quilted leather seats. Except they don't do the thing I want them to do, which is to be comfortable. This is a Ford Lincoln thing. See what I mean about the ride? So this is a Ford Lincoln thing going back many years in which they have these seats that adjust every single possible way. It has 3 different zones of lumbar adjustment. In addition to your typical adjustments, you know, rake, seat bottom, up, back, forth, all that stuff. They adjust every conceivable direction, and yet none of them are comfortable to me. I can't be comfortable in these seats, and it was like this when I drove the Navigator, the Nautilus, and before that, the Continental. Every time I drive a Ford product and it's got these gajillion way adjustable seats, they just don't work for me. You know, I'm just one person and seat comfort is pretty personal, but you definitely should check this out in person before you click the buy now button on one of these, because I swear it's just not comfortable for me. That being said, loads and loads of room. If you're a big person, these are big seats and they will fit everyone. Actually, Thor Bjornsson, the guy that plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones, he has an F-150, and I can see why. Look at all this space. It's huge. Which brings me to my next point, which is that it's huge. It is enormous. This thing weighs 5,800 pounds. It is gigantic, especially if you live in the city. It feels like, I don't know, it feels like an elephant in my living room. It just feels grotesquely large. All half-ton pickup trucks, not a Ford exclusive, but all half-ton pickup trucks are enormous. They are gigantic. They're way too big, and I don't like parking them. End of story. But what trucks are designed to do are haul things and tow things, which I actually did, and now we're going to cut into that part of my review, and I'll tell you how it went. Well, good morning. We're breaking away from the regular review because I'm doing kind of a blog style walkthrough of my towing adventure with this F-150. My first step was to take a 1.5 hour drive from Toronto up here to Barrie, during which this F-150 hybrid averaged 12.4 liters per 100 kilometers, which is good, but not great. And it's only going to get worse because we're about to load up one of these super heavy U-Haul trailers for car transport. These trailers are about 2,000 pounds. And then we're going to take a short drive to go pick up my new acquisition. And then we're going to go on an even longer trip. So just a quick update, 12.4 liters per 100K. And that was cruise control set at 110 kilometers an hour exactly. And I drove like a saint. To be fair, the drive from Toronto to Barrie, you do go up about 300 feet. And it was a northern headwind almost the entire time. So not exactly a flat scenario, but it's what it is. I will check in later once we get a trailer behind this thing. All right, so I'm backing up the trailer and I want to show you one cool thing that I like. You see here, we don't have a straight approach to our trailer, so I have to line it up with the ball. And if I turn the wheel, that little black and dotted line will line up with the ball. So all I really have to do is follow that black line and line it up right up with the hitch and just keep reversing. And I should hit it just about perfect. That is a pretty cool touch. Well, roughly 2 hours later, we have gone from Barrie all the way south down here to Oshawa, Ontario, a distance of almost exactly 160 kilometers or 100 miles. And with that dune buggy out back, which probably weighs less than the 2,000-pound trailer it's on, we average 17.6 liters per 100 kilometers. According to the calculator, that is about 13.5 miles per gallon. That's not great. I honestly had better expectations considering this is a hybrid vehicle. We did manage 5 completely electric kilometers according to the odometer. But that's honestly kind of disappointing considering what it got unloaded. And then this whole package has to be less than, I don't know, 5,500 pounds. Easily. That thing can't be very heavy. To be fair, again, it has been very windy today. And we've been going south and then east. So at times we had pretty good crosswind and at times we had a pretty good headwind again. Take that with a grain of salt, but we were doing a completely boring 110 kilometers per hour. At no point did we actually go faster than that. So I think this is pretty much best case for fuel economy. And I was surprised that it actually dipped as much as it did considering it is a hybrid. So now back to the full review. That concludes the towing part of the test. So there you have it. Even though it's a hybrid, the fuel economy that I got was not that impressive. I have some theories as to why. First of all, it's the winter, it's very cold, and that is going to hurt battery efficacy. But we're also doing what hybrid systems are not the best at, which is steady state, constant speed cruising. A hybrid system usually gets better mileage in the city than the highway. That's because it makes power from regenerative braking, and it can turn off the engine when it's not needed. But if you just have the cruise control set at a constant speed, the engine kind of has to be going the whole time, and there's not a ton for the hybrid system to actually do. That's my harebrained theory. That being said, I also kind of felt the mass of the trailer back there more than I expected, considering it's like easily less than half this truck's rated towing capacity. Don't get me wrong, it had boatloads of power, and it towed it just fine without any trouble, but I definitely noticed that back there, especially in the braking department. So I've moved things with like 1-ton trucks and you can forget there's a trailer even back there. Not the case, even though this is a super capable truck. I don't know. I definitely noticed it back there, and but that said, towing a relatively light load of around 4,000 to 5,000 pounds, it did it just fine. It just burned more gas than I would have liked. That being said, this thing makes a ton of power. This thing makes more power and torque than most Mustangs used to do like 20 years ago. So this truck has a twin-turbo V6 and that hybrid motor, which combine to make a lot of power. In fact, this giant truck can hustle to 60 miles an hour easily in the 5-second range. Allow me to demonstrate. All right, we're gonna stop, whack the gas, let him up. It is so fast. It is ridiculously fast. I lit up the tires and I did not even mean to. Yeah, you're not lacking for power in this thing. It's actually kind of a hot rod when it comes to acceleration. Now, if you like hands-free driving assist, this F-150 Platinum has Ford Blue Cruise. So if you're on a larger highway, it is a hands-free, cruise control basically. And it will steer, and you can now, the update is if you signal right, it will signal you across a lane, turn off the signal, and then you'll stop. I used it, it's okay. It's even on the short distance that I used it, it still got confused with some lane markings. In Toronto, we have a lot of streets to have one lane, and then it will fork. And it doesn't know which side of the fork to go on, even though I haven't indicated I'm turning right. That said, if you're comparing it against the big 3 automakers, Ford, Chevy, and Dodge, it is handily the best one of the 3 if you don't include the Tesla Cybertruck as a real truck. So it's okay. And if you want that feature, this is kind of the only place to get it in a conventional half-ton pickup truck. So that's worth saying. The other thing I love from this interior is the sound system. That B&O system is really, really good. I'm putting it in my top 5 list of favorite sound systems in a car. Number 1 is still the G-Wagon Burmeister setup for me. But it's got really, really rich tones, a ton of clarity. They got all these little speakers all around the cabin. The surround sound effect is really, really cool. And I give it high marks even for this price bracket, which is pretty expensive. So even though the hybrid fuel economy kind of disappointed me, one perk that you get with the hybrid is that you can use the Pro Power onboard system in the bed. And that is cool because you can run like real power tools from your truck bed. I actually used this on a different F-150 a couple of years ago. I used an angle grinder because I was working on a car in a junkyard. There's no power out there, but I was able to drive the truck in, plug into the truck, and cut out what I needed to do. And that was actually pretty cool. I've also used it to work a chop saw to cut some wood. And that is actually a really, really handy feature. Of course, being a hybrid means it just kicks on the motor as needed to charge the battery, and there's not a ton of waste. I think it's really, really cool. But there's a lot of doodads and add-ons on this super luxury version that I don't think are Canada-proof. For example, the deployable side steps are already caked in snow and salt. And though they have not failed, they deploy and they retract every time I ask them to. They are already making squeaking noises, and I see so many driving around town with the steps always deployed because something has gummed up, some wiring has gotten mangled. These deployable side steps I don't think are Canada proof. As well, the multi-action opening rear tailgate, to be honest, just feels kind of flimsy to me when I use it, and a tailgate gets kind of abused. So I would say overall, if you're shopping for a half-ton truck, the F-150 is still kind of the benchmark to be compared to, mostly because you can order it so many different ways. You can order it as a gas V6, gas V8, twin turbo V6, hybrid, or even the all-electric Lightning. And within that, you've got multiple cab configurations, bed lengths, even axle ratios. You can kind of pick and choose everything you want, even like the 9 different trim levels from the base XLT all the way up to this Platinum. It's really, really configurable. That being said, my complaints about the F-150 are mostly about just this segment in general. They're too big, they're too unwieldy, and when you have to tow 12,000 pounds, or be rated to tow 12,000 pounds, the suspension is kind of stiff as a result of that. I wanted to like the hybrid. I'm a big fan of them in a lot of applications, but I gotta say, if you're planning on buying one of these for the hybrid efficiency while towing, well, you might want to shop elsewhere because it really didn't deliver when I tested it. For Driving.ca, I'm Clayton Seams. For more pickup truck reviews, don't forget to check out our website at Driving.ca, where you'll find my full written review on this truck. Now we're at a truck stop, and I'm having my lunch, which I can do because this whole kind of center area folds flat. See the shifter folding out of the way, this folds flat, and now I have a little table. But now all my cup holders are at the back. They say it's so you can use your laptop and stuff while you work. I don't know, it's kind of nice to have a big flat space. And this will be my lunch spot for today.